Welcome back to American Agenda. Bob Sellers here with Heather Childers. Republican Congressman from North Carolina, Ted Budd, who joined us earlier in the program, discussed fighting back against Democratic calls that would lead to packing the Supreme Court.
Well, I think the commission of 36, mostly liberal professors and scholars, are just they're just creating political cover for the Biden administration to essentially do what they want. And I look at the Biden administration as being completely co-opted by the progressive left. So essentially, the 36 are going to recommend different things, how long a justice should be in there. But the way it's set up by our founding fathers, it's absolutely brilliant. So, look, just let the natural course of life take place. Let it stand like it is. But I think when it comes to the 36, it's just they're going to come up with horrible recommendations, and it's simply going to operate as political cover for Biden.
Joining us now with reaction, Republican strategist Amanda Mackey and Democratic strategist Kelly Hyman. Amanda, do you think that's what the Democrats are up to? They're going to have a study, and no matter what it says, they're going to say, well, obviously we need to add more members of the court?
Absolutely. This is from on high. This is what the Democrats want. They have been pushing it. In fact, when Justice Breyer said last week that this is not a good idea, what did they say? He needs to retire. They canceled him out. So, look, this is very important to the Democrats to do. But for 150 years, we've been here, and it's worked just fine. We were at one point as high as 10 during Lincoln's term. We've been as low as 6. But where we are 9 members right now is working. It has worked for 150 years. If the shoe fits, wear it.
Kelly, what about that? I mean, for at least the past 150 years, there have been 9. Do you think that needs to change?
Well, we have to first remember, why are we in this situation? We have to remember when Obama was president and he nominated someone that the Republican-led Senate would not even vote on it, even though Biden's administration had months and months for his term to finish. They said, we need to wait until there's a new administration. But then when Trump got into office, they wanted to rush through and nominate his pick.
Kelly, I hate to do this to you. We wanted to listen in very quickly to Senator Lindsey Graham talking about Afghanistan. I apologize here.
Afghanistan was used as a launching pad to attack America, to kill almost 3,000 of us. The reason they killed 3,000 of us almost is they couldn't find a better way to kill more of us. Does anybody doubt that if Al-Qaeda or ISIS had a nuclear capability, they'd use it? Does anybody doubt if they had a chemical capability, they would use it? So what have we learned in the last 20 years? When we allow sanctuary for radical Islamic groups to train, equip, and get stronger, they come after us. They come after our way of life and our allies. So on March 22nd, I talked with Mr. Sullivan, and I said, I know it is complicated and there are no great choices, but count me in for the idea we will not withdraw all forces in Afghanistan until the conditions are ripe to tell the American people we left honorably and America is safer. I told Mr. Sullivan that I would support President Biden's decision to accept military advice to keep a residual force of several thousand as an insurance policy against another 9/11. The result of this decision today by President Biden is to cancel an insurance policy that, in my view, would prevent another 9/11, because I believe with all my heart and soul, after 50-something trips to the region, that a few thousand Americans watching over there would make it hard for Al-Qaeda and ISIS to reorganize to hit us over here. Those eyes and ears will be gone. I don't trust the Taliban to look out for American interest, but we're finding ourselves in a very precarious situation. Again, there are no great outcomes, but this is the worst possible outcome, is to pull up and leave and hope that things will turn out well. That did not happen in Iraq, and it did not happen.
All right, Senator Lindsey Graham showing concern about withdrawing all troops from Afghanistan, wanting to avoid forever wars, but wanting to have a residual force to prevent a terrorist threat that he sees forming within 18 to 24 months. Let's get back to Kelly Hyman, who was speaking. This sounds like a challenge to withdrawing all forces, which it sounds like President Biden is suggesting.
Well, definitely we need, peace in this world, and our officers put their life on the line and do the ultimate sacrifice. And so we need to make sure that they're protected and safe as well. But we also need to make sure that we are, as U.S., protected as well.
Yeah. Amanda, what about this? Because this obviously is something that was put into place by the Trump administration. His deadline for withdrawal was going to be May 1st, but now pushing it back to September 11th. We've had, 2,312 U.S. military members who have died in Afghanistan since 2001.
I think a lot of Americans are fatigued. I mean, we've been in this war now for almost 20 years. And so I think Americans do want to see the troops come home. As you said, this was a relic of the Trump administration. So this is something that, Trump and Biden actually largely agreed on, bringing the troops home. I do still think there are many threats in the Middle East. And to Senator Graham's point about being the eyes and ears, I totally agree, especially when you have the threat of Iran sitting right there on the cusp of all of this. Israel is an important ally and does serve as our eyes and ears, but it is important to have some presence because that sends a message when, all the troops are taken out. But again, Americans want to see the troops come home. It's been 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like you're kind of straddling that issue, and it's a tough one. So, Amanda, would you favor leaving some troops there to make sure there isn't a threat developed, or do we withdraw all troops, as I understand Mr. Biden is suggesting?
I think a precipitous, as the word was used, is important because you don't want to send a message that we're out. These are people who are looking to attack America like they did on September 11th. That unfortunately hasn't changed. That threat is always there.
Yeah.
So I think it is largely symbolic to make sure that there are troops there, but also to bring troops home. It has been 2 decades, and that's what Americans want.
Right.
Yeah. Well, as we said earlier, we have 2,500 troops still there, along with 1,000 special forces. So we don't have that many that are still there. Kelly, final word.
I think we should bring our troops back home safely, and so they're here. But ultimately, if something happens where we have to go back again, then absolutely. But it's been a long time coming, and it would be nice to have our troops come home.
All right, very good. Kelly Hyman, Amanda Mackey, thank you so much for joining us. Coming